Hello everyone, Tom with Capo Fetish. Today on the channel, we're going to talk about some artists that released two stellar albums within a year in the 1970s. I'm going to start off here with a couple of gems here from the end of the decade, released in 1979. The first of two albums by Joe Jackson. His debut, Look Sharp, absolute flawless record, featuring the hit, Is She Really Going Out With Him? But every track on here just cooks. One More Time, Sunday Papers, Happy Loving Couples, Throw It Away, Baby Stick Around, Look Sharp, Fools in Love, Do the Instant Mash, Pretty Girls Got the Time. Just an absolutely flawless record. And what really gets me about these records is the bass playing of Graham Maby, just pretty much carrying the track. The rhythm guitar playing by Gary Sanford is fantastic, but Graham Maby is just really, he's carrying a lot of the rhythm, he's carrying a lot of the melody, and he's carrying a lot of the punch. And I think he's really up front too in the mix, which is really cool. Something you don't really see a lot in a lot of rock records where the bass is like way up high in the mix. So a fantastic record from start to finish. Then later on in the year, he releases his second album, I'm the Man, which is just as good. In fact, I think some of the tracks on here might be some of my favorite Joe Jackson tracks of all time. On Your Radio, Geraldine and John, Kinda Cute. A couple of really great ballads on here. It's Different for Girls. Amateur Hour is really cool. Of course, I'm the Man. It just, the title track just cooks. The Band Wore Blue Shirts, Don't Want to Be Like That. Don't Want to Be Like That and Get That Girl are so infectious, such infectious rockers. Then it ends with Friday. And if, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe even Anthrax did a version of Friday years back. So two incredible albums in one here by Joe Jackson. He'd go on with different kind of styles later on, but this is where he started. And these are, I think, in my opinion, his two best albums. I'm the Man and Look Sharp from 1979. Let's go back to the beginning of the decade, 1970. A brand new artist who now is like considered, one of the greatest of all time. He just finished wrapping up his 2-year tour. He's now retired. Sir Elton John, his debut album is a wonderful debut featuring your song, Take Me to the Pilot, Borders song, 60 Years On. There's some real melancholy tracks on here. But my absolute favorite track on here, this really brings me back to childhood, is the second track on here called I Need You to Turn To, with this beautiful harpsichord. Such an incredible melody. What a great debut here from Elton John. Later in the year, he releases my favorite album of Elton John of all time, Tumbleweed Connection. Just absolute prime Elton John right here. Where do we start? Amarina, the song was featured in Dog Day Afternoon. We've got Love Song, a song that he did a duet with Leslie Duncan, another singer-songwriter of that era. Where To Now, St. Peter, Burn Down the Mission, Come Down in Time. This is just one of those early 70s singer-songwriter masterpieces. And Elton John was delivering right off the bat with his debut, his self-titled debut, Tumbleweed Connection, both from 1970. Let's go to around the mid-70s here. One of my favorite artists of all time, Neil Young, Tonight's the Night. Though released in 75, it was recorded in 1973. A very tequila, who knows what other substances were going on in this kind of a session. Neil's voice is absolutely ragged. It's basically a tribute to roadie Bruce Berry and guitarist Danny Whitten. It took me a while to get into this album, but it's now one of my favorite one of my favorite Neil Young albums of all time. We have two versions of Tonight's the Night. I love Speaking Out. Some great guitar playing from Nils Lofgren on that. We have World on a String, Borrowed Tune, which he does borrow the melody of the Rolling Stones' Lady Jane on that particular track. Roll Another Number for the Road is on here. Albuquerque. My favorite track on here, New Mama. Very short little acoustic track with these great 3-part harmonies. It's gorgeous. Tired Eyes. There's really nothing that sounds like that in the Neil Young canon. Very dark tune. Mellow My Mind features one of Neil Young's just most ragged vocals. Every time I hear it, I just laugh because it's just so off-key and just so rattled and frazzled. And I love it, though. I just absolutely love it. Yeah, just an amazing. Oh, and then Come On Baby, Let's Go Downtown, which was recorded live in '70 at the Fillmore West or Fillmore East, with Danny Whitten live on vocals. Kind of a tribute to Danny on this particular album. So this was recorded in '73, but released in '75. Later in '75, they released Zuma, the first Crazy Horse album, I think, since, like, full-on Crazy Horse album since Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere. This is really an underrated Neil Young album. Don't Cry No Tears, that's an early Neil Young song, written like way even before Buffalo Springfield. Danger Bird is a really odd track. Pardon My Heart is gorgeous. Looking for a Love, Barstool Blues, great mid-tempo rocker. Stupid Girl, Drive Back, the iconic Cortez the Killer, and then Through My Sails, which features Crosby, Stills, and Nash and Young all singing in harmony. Just a fantastic album here with Crazy Horse. So two just absolute fantastic records from Neil Young from 1975, Zuma and Tonight's the Night. Let's move on over to 1976 with a 1-2 shot from Graham Parker, his first album, Howlin' Wind. He's got Brinsley Schwartz on guitar. Of course, Brinsley Schwartz was a band at one time. It featured Nick Lowe. This is just a fantastic album from start to finish. Everything from White Honey to Don't Ask Me Questions. Just one of those like must-have records. And then later on in the year, he releases Heat Treatment, another just fantastic record. And what I really love about Graham Parker, I think he just writes some really, really great ballads. Like on Squeezing Out Sparks, there's that track, what is that track called? You Can't Be Too Strong. Gorgeous track. Another one here another great ballad on here called Black Honey. Just fantastic. Some of my favorites on here, Pouring It All Out, Backdoor Love. I love that last track, Fool's Gold. So two just excellent records here from Graham Parker and the Rumor from 1976. Heat Treatment and Howlin' Wind. Let's move on to 1972 for just two absolute masterpieces from Stevie Wonder. Music of My Mind was the first one released that year, featuring one of my favorite all-time Stevie Wonder tracks. The track Superwoman. It's like a two-part song. That first part, the melody is so incredible. So many other great tracks on here too, like Girl Blue and Evil. I mean, the whole thing is great. But even better is Talking Book, one of the greatest soul albums of all time. I mean, every single track on here is amazing. You Are the Sunshine of My Life. Maybe Your Baby, which is a really long, funky track. Some just gorgeous tracks on here, like Looking for Another Pure Love, which features Jeff Beck on guitar. We got Superstition. We've got You've Got It Bad Girl. That last track, I Believe When I Fall in Love with You, It'll Be Forever, which was on the closing credits of High Fidelity, that movie. This is just one of those albums that it's a real uplifting album, real life-affirming, fantastic. Talking Book, Stevie Wonder, and Music of My Mind, both released in 1972. How about the Faces? The Faces were on fire in the early 70s, releasing two classic loose albums. First one from 71 is Long Player, featuring another just gorgeous Faces ballad, Sweet Lady Mary. Oh, I love that track. And there's just really, it's just all over the map stylistically. You've got Bad and Ruin. Here's the original. I love these original Warner Brother early 70s green labels here. Just fantastic stuff. You've got Bad and Ruin. You've got a couple of live tracks on here. Maybe I'm Amazed by McCartney. You've got I Feel So Good. There's a traditional song on here called Jerusalem that ends the album with some really cool slide from Ronnie Wood. Had Me a Real Good Time is a great rocker. Fantastic record. And then they also released in 71, A Nod Is As Good As a Wink to a Blind Horse. I think this was actually a top 10 album at the time. We've got the classic Stay With Me on here. Miss Judy's Farm. An incredible Ronnie Lane track on here called Debris. but he says Debre. But just one of Ronnie Lane is really underrated as a songwriter. Ends with "That's All You Need" with just some way out slide guitar playing from Ronnie Wood. Fantastic album. A Nod is as good as a wink to a blind horse, and Long Player from the Faces, both from 71. A couple of classics here from 77. The first Cheap Trick album, they cranked out 2 in 1 year. This is Cheap Trick at their most raw, and it's really, really great. It's not really fully on produced like later albums would be. You've got a Hot Love. They do a version of Terry Reid's Speak Now, or Forever Hold Your Peace, which was on his self-titled white covered album from 1970. You got He's a Whore and Hello Kitties, Daddy Should Have Stayed in High School, Taxman Mr. Thief, Oh Candy. Great raw rock and roll from Cheap Trick, their self-titled album from 77. Then you've got In Color. It came out the same year with better songs, but I prefer the versions that are on Live at Budokan. But look at this track list here. You've got Hello There. You've got Big Eyes, Downed, I Want You to Want Me, which is really, really lethargic sounding compared to the Budokan version. Oh Caroline, Clock Strikes 10, Southern Girls, one of my faves. Come On, Come On. Great album, but again, I prefer the live versions on the Budokan album. So 2 from Cheap Trick from 77, In Color, and the self-titled Cheap Trick album. How about Sabbath, Black Sabbath? We've got their debut earlier in the year in 70, featuring the scary title track. We've got The Wizard, we've got NIB, and then we've got the second album released the same year. We have Paranoid, considered like one of the greatest metal albums of all time. It still holds up. We've got War Pigs, Paranoid, Call Me Crazy. I love Planet Caravan. I love that track. It's the slow song on the album. Iron Man, Electric Funeral, so frigging dark. Hand of Doom, it's so frigging dark as well. Rat Salad, and ends with Fairies Wear Boots. So 2 from Sabbath from 1970. Back to 77, we've got a couple from Bowie. David Bowie, Low. The first side is all short, compact, little oddball pop tracks. Second side, all these ambient tracks. Love this album. Call Me Crazy, but I love the second side even better. Art Decade, Weeping Wall. There was a period in my life where I woke up to this for like months straight. I had a clock radio, a CD clock radio, and just really got to know this album really well every morning. And I didn't wake up until it was over. I basically just kept sleeping through the alarm. Speed of Life, Breaking Glass, What in the World. I saw Bowie, I think, on his last tour in 2004, and he did Always Crashing in the Same Car, which was fantastic. Be My Wife, an incredible album. He follows it up the same year with Heroes, which features one of my all-time favorite Bowie tracks, Sons of the Silent Age. What a bizarre chorus that is. I just love that track. Of course, the iconic title track, the long version's on here, of Heroes, Beauty and the Beast, and then the second side kind of follows in the same similar pattern as Low, with Moss Garden and Sense of Doubt. And then I think Secret Life of Arabia, that does have some vocals on it, but yeah, a stellar follow-up to Low. During his Berlin phase, David Bowie, Low, and Heroes both came out in 77. Of course, they got to keep spreading the gospel of the Kinks, right? I'm a huge fan, and they put out 2 of my favorite albums in their catalog, and 2 of my favorite albums of all time. First off, Soap Opera from 1975. A rock star that trades place with an ordinary guy and goes through all the 8 to 5 routine. I think this album really showcases just the absurdity of the 8 to 5 work schedule. Ray Davies just laying it out just straight on with a lot of humor and just accurate detail of what we all go through from the 8 to 5 work schedule. Later on in the year, another just absolute Kinks classic, Schoolboys in Disgrace, their last album for RCA, features The Hard Way, which would feature in live sets for years. But the whole album is just absolutely amazing. School Days, Education, The First Time We Fall in Love, featuring one of their greatest ballads of all time, No More Looking Back. It has another great rocker on here, I'm in Disgrace. Also featuring some of Dave Davies' best lead guitar work in the entire Kinks catalog. So Schoolboys in Disgrace, soap opera from the Kinks, both released in 1975. And last but not least, we've got two prog rock classics from Yes. The Yes album, my favorite Yes album. Just absolutely to this day, anytime Starship Trooper comes on my random, on my iPod, I just get really excited. God, I love that track, that outro, that guitar pattern that Steve Howe's playing is just so infectious. And that midsection with the acoustic guitar and those harmonies by John Anderson and Chris Squire, amazing. The clap, the showcase by Steve Howe on acoustic. You've got Yours Is No Disgrace, I've Seen All Good People, Adventure, Perpetual Change, just great. This is Yes before they became really, really over the top with all the crazy prog. I love these songs. They're more compact. This is what I dig. This is my favorite Yes period. And then, of course, later on in the year, the Yes album, which to me is almost as good, featuring Roundabout, the hit, featuring one of my favorite Yes tracks, South Side of the Sky, Heart of the Sunrise, and then a great showcase for Steve Howe. What's that song called? A Mood for a Day. Fantastic. Also, Long Distance Runaround. Two absolute prog rock classics here by Yes. The Yes album and Fragile. And there you go, folks. Those are some artists that released two stellar albums within a year in the 1970s. Do you have any more to add to the list? Please do so. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.